Hello.
Stephen Curry, welcome to the GSB.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Have you ever played in front of a house this packed?
From time to time, 82 nights a year, plus 16.
Okay. So before we get started, we have a few special guests. Dean Levin called out Ayesha, your beautiful wife, up in the front row.
Yes, she is, right here.
Also heard your mother will be joining us as well.
She might be here right now or in 5 minutes. We were always late to church, too, so it's okay. She'll be here eventually, walking in like, hey, honey.
So she might come in during this video, and she's going to be on the screen, because I'm actually going to play
a video?
We got a video. It's my favorite Steph Curry interview.
Okay.
Yeah, let's cue it.
Oh, my goodness. Is there sound?
Ball, how much do you guys play baseball?
We played baseball a lot when we were in Charlotte. Played for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And never got into pitching, but played everything else. And I liked it, but I was more interested in basketball at the time. So
why?
It was more my sport, kind of. I had more. I was kind of better at it, this basketball, and I wanted to practice some more on it and try to make it to the pros if I have a chance.
We see that shot in action from the early days. You made a pretty bold prediction up there. I'm curious, can you tell me what I'm going to be when I grow up?
Oh man, what you're gonna be? Successful, whatever that is.
I would take
sitting
that.
in this chair, you're obviously doing something right, so you don't need me to validate it. But no, that's crazy. My voice has changed, a lot more facial hair. But it's pretty cool. I see one Toronto Raptors jersey right here in the crowd, which is kind of crazy. I saw it when I came in, and then back in early 2000s. But yeah, been bold prediction. Glad it came true.
Yeah. I'm glad it came true too. It's been a wonder watching you. But one of my favorite things about that video is who you with in that video, right? It's your family, which has been a constant thing in your life their entire time. So I'm actually curious, what does family mean to you and why?
I mean, family is everything. As an example from, the time I can remember, obviously growing up with a dad that played in the NBA, mom who was an educator, who started a Montessori school. They were too busy, busy, individuals that were trying to raise a family and have successful careers. And the biggest thing that they taught us was that we always support each other. We always show up like they are here today. And you like that one? Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. And a part of that was just, it was about shared experiences and having each other's back, and it gives you a sense of foundation no matter what life throws at you. Not everything's, winning championships and riding on parade buses. There's obviously ups and downs to life that we all go through, and without that foundation, I don't know where I would be. And even for, the 11 years that I've been out here on the West Coast, my family has been, a unit, and we've always, supported each other, and that's the biggest thing to who we are as a family, and I've tried to, me and Ayesha are now trying to establish that with our 3 kids, and understanding that work-life balance, that it's tough at times, but it always gives us the sense of purpose and foundation that we need.
For sure. Earlier you mentioned that your favorite job has been a father. So I'm actually curious, has fatherhood taught you anything about yourself that you didn't previously know?
Patience, and really that I don't take myself ever too seriously in my job, because it doesn't matter how many points I score, or if we win or lose. When I come home, I'm dad, and that's the best thing about life. You walk in the door and they're running up to you, hugs and kisses, and just that energy that you got to match every day. And so it is the best job. It's the most rewarding job. It's obviously difficult, at times, but again, everything that you're balancing. But it's I'll ever take those moments for granted, and knowing what that experience and that interaction with my parents growing up, how that shaped and formed my life. Me and my wife have the opportunity with our village around us to do that. 3 beautiful young minds that hopefully can grow up into their own. So it's a beautiful thing for sure.
Yeah, I have no doubt they're going to grow up to do amazing things. You said that y'all walked into church late every now and then, which brings me to another topic that I think is pretty core to who you are as a person, and it's religion. And in a world where religion can be a hot topic button, you lean into it, right? So, what does faith mean to you, and why do you choose to make that a part of your brand?
I feel like, well, first and foremost, it is who I am. You say religion, it's kind of funny. I think in terms of how I've grown up, it's about my relationship, with God and what that means to me and how that evolves or has evolved over the course of my life. From the time I was in 3rd grade, when I made that decision for myself to follow Jesus, to now where I have the ability to be on a stage and a platform every single day, to let that shine through me with how I, conduct myself and where I shine, the glory every chance that I get. And so it's always been a part of who I am. I never knew that I'd have the opportunity to impact, people with the skill and the God-given skill that I've been given, on the basketball court, and the opportunities to either just write a, Bible verse on my shoe and people be able to connect with that or, find that for themselves. That's big, and I'm not a guy that's gonna bash people over the head with the Bible, but you'll know who I am, by the way that I play and where that inspiration and that foundation comes from, and it's just I don't ever consider it a part of my brand in a sense. It's just a part of me just being who I am and letting that live through me.
That's amazing. So faith and family are core to your support system, and I imagine it was pretty critical growing up, given that there's constant criticism. Major D1 colleges overlooked you. You landed a spot at Davidson College. So I'm curious, to everyone in the crowd who, at some point in their life, will battle rejection, right? Like, what advice do you have?
I mean, don't ever lose your confidence. It's obviously easier said than done. We all have dealt with that in some way, shape, or form, where you set a goal for yourself, and for whatever reason, there are roadblocks, along the way. The biggest thing that I learned through my recruiting process and ended up at Davidson, where people were like, where the heck is Davidson College at? Like, do they even have a basketball team? Why are you going there? You're the son of an NBA player. You should be going to the ACC, to this and that, and trying to tell you what your life is supposed to be like. There are no accidents in life to me. And the fact that I got rejected landed me right where I was supposed to be, and I wouldn't change that for anything. And even though I didn't see it at the time, I walked into that opportunity, and kind of the rest is history with the college journey into the NBA. It was a small liberal arts 1,800 student college that was 30 minutes from my house and felt like I was still in high school. And part of it was I got to be around one of the greatest coaches that is in college basketball, and Bob McKillop, who really, in a sense, leaned into the person way more than the basketball player, and created that connection in terms of building what a man is supposed to be on and off the court. And I've carried so many lessons from him through my journey that I am forever grateful for what he saw in me when I didn't even see it for myself, and giving me that opportunity to kind of just play basketball and learn on a daily. And he challenged me every single day. And so when I was in high school, I was like, yeah, can I play at Virginia Tech? Can I play at Duke? Can I play at North Carolina? Wasn't my journey. Wasn't where I was supposed to be. And I was all right with that.
That's amazing. Well, I'm glad you went to Davidson College. You went there. You blew expectations out of the water. Your sophomore year, you led Davidson on that magical run through the NCAA tournament. And in that tournament, Stephen Curry became a household name, right? So I'm curious, how was that transition into the spotlight?
It was weird, right? So you grew up in Charlotte, and my dad, again, has played in the NBA he played there for 10 years, but he's a 16-year NBA vet. So everywhere we went in Charlotte, he was a celebrity. And it was all about him, right? So he was, one of the original Hornets. We'd go to dinner, fans would be running up to him everywhere. And I got to see how gracious he was with everybody that came up to him. Talking to the kids that looked up to him and, spending a moment with him, understanding how valuable that interaction was. And he was so consistent. Look, there's my mama right there in church. Look, mama, hold it up, mama, hold it up. There it is, see? Hold it up. I told we never made it in the sanctuary. We were always in the satellite. So growing up, I got to see an example of, what it was like to be a true professional in the spotlight. And never knew that I would be at that level or that would be an experience that I would have for myself, but those lessons really got ingrained subliminally. And so people would talk to me every once in a while just out of courtesy, but it was never anything, about me first and foremost. So when I, like you said, going to Davidson, playing in the tournament, going to the Elite Eight, again, a small mid-major school going that far, All-American and all that type of stuff, like it was pretty much overnight type of sensation. And my favorite thing I had back when Facebook was sophomore in high school, sophomore in college, came back after the Elite Eight run and had my messenger situation going on, and literally I came back to over like 2,000 messages, and my computer crashed. So that's what I came back to in a little dorm room at Davidson. I'm like, I don't even know how to handle this. Like, what does that mean? Like going and living my daily life now, doing interviews, doing all this other type of stuff. But my foundation was set because of what I got to see. And again, that's something I tell my dad all the time. Like, it could have gone all the other way if he had been a different type of person or set a different example for me and my brother and my sister in terms of, how he handled himself, how he carried himself. But I had to find what that meant for me. So I had to find, that patience and that graciousness and that sense of, again, not taking myself too seriously in the midst of success, which you have to make that commitment every single day, because if people are telling you how great you are all the time and telling you that, you can do no wrong and that you're perfect and all that, but, you can buy into it if you want to, but that's just going to be a recipe for disaster if you don't really check yourself and understand that, one, I tried to deflect as much as possible to exactly, my team, because I knew that I had power because of who I got to roll with every single day on the court. Mm-hmm. And that was big for me, and that's something that's a pretty constant theme in everything that I've been able to do in my career.
It's amazing. So let's actually talk about that team that you just mentioned. In 2009, you were drafted by the Golden State Warriors in the first round. Mm-hmm. Apparently, that was not the time to be a Warriors fan. The Wikipedia refers to it as the wilderness years.
Wilderness years?
The wilderness years.
So it went from, I have never heard that, we believe, to the wilderness years.
So there was a period of 12 years in a row where Golden State didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's what they were referring to with the wilderness years. So lo and behold, you come in with your second bold prediction. And so you tweeted this. I'm actually going to read your tweet.
Yeah.
Promise to all the Warriors fans, we will figure this thing out. If it's the last thing we do, we will figure it out. I'm
glad that's the tweet they found.
So I found that tweet.
Going on. No.
If this NBA thing doesn't work out, there's a lot of VC firms around here looking for somebody in the future.
I'm trying to compete now.
True. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So, but back to the team. What were the key cultural differences between those early Warriors and the Warriors of today?
How long do you have?
We got about
the next 30 minutes. No, I was playing.
You got 3 minutes? Does that work?
I think we were. I mean, like you said, it was a season of transition. I talked about the We Believe team where they had, a set identity of kind of just us or them or us against the world, and that was what worked for them. The nature of the NBA took over. Then you kind of go through a period where from ownership all the way down. You talk about corporate culture and just the environment that you get to go to work in a day. It was all bad, and so that filtered through everything that we did. And so from there, that's what I'm walking into as a bright-eyed 21-year-old rookie coming from an 1,800 student campus to the West Coast to the Bay Area, really just trying to play basketball and learn. And I think for me, like, I didn't know it at the time, but those first 3 years was an opportunity for me to kind of lead. I didn't really have a voice, but I could lead by example because I knew every day that I was showing up to work and get better. And whether it was in front of people or my teammates saw or management saw or whatever, like I would try to be as consistent as possible with that. That would set me up for when we figured out what our identity was and got a solid roster around that was already in place so that people could kind of just fall in line and follow that lead and then great things would happen. So it's actually, my rookie year I played against, LeBron for the first time, and he pulled me aside after the game was over, and he knew, like, he had been in the league for about 6 years, so he kind of had known a little bit about trying to build an identity in the league. And he told me, like, literally, all you have to worry about right now is kind of looking through a keyhole and worrying about, what are you doing on a daily basis? What habits are you building that are going to set you up for success down the road when things line up? Because this industry is hard, and this business, like, winning is hard. And I learned that lesson every single night. But are you going to keep this time productive because you're building the right habits and you're understanding exactly what type of player you want to be, so that when management starts to get a roster in place and the identity of ownership for us happened that next year with Joe Lacob and Peter Guber buying the team and really having a big perspective about what it meant to be a Warrior and what it meant to represent the Bay Area in the NBA, that I would be ready to lead at that point. And so invaluable, obviously, advice from him to kind of set it up. And then, 6 years later, we're playing in the finals. So pretty crazy journey coming from humble beginnings, winning 20 games a year to where we ended up.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you mentioned LeBron earlier. You mentioned your coach from Davidson as two people who mentored you. So I'm curious, if you were to flip that, who are the people that you've mentored, or how do you view mentorship from your lens?
That's a great question, because I feel like that's a opportunity for me that's ever developing, in terms of me realizing how powerful my voice is, in terms of how this next generation sees me as a basketball player. They call it, I hate using this term, but they call it the Curry generation, where kids are trying to shoot from 40 feet, right when they walk in the gym. And me trying to kind of level with them, like, there's a process to this. You have to work our way in. We're gonna work on our mechanics, and then eventually you can get out to that range. But in terms of, like, just how the joy that I try to bring, and I think some of the wisdom that I have through these 11 years that I've been playing, that I can pass on. I'm an open book, so if people reach out and they have, I love to kind of hopefully lead them in the right direction. I've had some really great teammates and some young guys that have been through our team that have carried our culture to other teams around the league, and they talk about how much it meant to play during this era with me and Clay and Draymond and Andre and Sean and KD and those type of opportunities. So now I'm actually taking a page out of Kobe's book, in terms of just he, through this tragedy, so many different people have kind of spoken about what he meant to them, and just a simple text that he would send, how much confidence that gave them. And I'm an example of that too. One game we were playing the Lakers in my rookie year, and I did a little spin move situation, hit it off the glass, and they panned to him on the bench, and he mouths off to one of his teammates sitting next to him like, yo, he's nice. Right? And so somebody sent me that clip right after, and you don't know how much confidence that gave me in that moment. Like, oh, I'm the best player in the world now. Like just for him saying that and almost validating, my skill level and things like that. So those moments are just unbelievable to kind of be on the other side of it now and have an opportunity to see. You see guys, have similar type games. Trae Young like that, who's coming in with a whole nother level of confidence because he got to watch what I did, coming up through the ranks. So, yeah, I'm available. But those hopefully opportunities will keep coming, and I can continue to give back to the game like other guys gave me.
You should lean into Trae Young. I'm from the Atlanta area, so I'd love.
Can't do it too much though. I'm trying to stay on top.
So, let's go to 2011. In that year, the Warriors drafted Klay Thompson. Mm-hmm. You two earned the moniker the Splash Bros, becoming the best duo to play the game. While you're always in the spotlight, looking around, Klay sometimes will actively dodge the spotlight. So I'm curious, when you take two people who have such different personalities, how would y'all build that chemistry?
I think we had similar beginnings in the league. Mine was more of a kind of, like I talked about, lack of identity or dealing with the lack of identity from an organization and so much kind of transition on the roster. Really having to focus on myself, and I call it the humble beginnings of learning what it takes to win. For Klay, it was a position battle. Like we had a guy named Monte Ellis, well, all the Warrior fans know, and Klay was his rookie year. He was behind Monte and had to fight to try to just get minutes. And so it's all about an appreciation for just being on the floor playing in the NBA. We both come from NBA families, and there's a connection point with that. But understanding how we could compete in practice too to make each other better. Like we both love to shoot the ball. We shoot it, pretty well, and we always try to one-up each other. So there's a healthy competition when it comes to that too, and we're not afraid to kind of lean into it and challenge each other from time to time. But to your point around difference in personalities, I think we embrace it because Klay is the ultimate teammate. He's the most selfless guy on our team that knows whether he gets to shine or not, or whether people are talking about him or not. He knows how important he is to what we do and to our winning culture, and I try to do my best job every time I have an opportunity to let people know like how important he is to what we do, and having each other's back in that front. It's a mutual respect that will never ever go away in terms of what we've been able to accomplish together. And it's weird talking about it now because I know we still have a long runway with this thing together. So yeah, Klay is one of the funniest dudes you ever met too. So he's always a great guy to be around. He shows his personality from time to time. My favorite, I saw him drinking a beer during an interview. Like he's just in the moment all the time, and I love him as a teammate, and blessed to have him.
It's amazing. And so you talked about him being selfless, but you yourself are also selfless. In 2000, it was 2016, you all reached out to recruit KD to join your team. It's not often you see someone of your caliber who's willing to share the spotlight with someone like KD, right? So I'm curious, what motivated that humility in that moment to say, it's better for him to be on the team and to share the spotlight rather than you without him?
It started with him being interested. One, you gotta know that up front. You ain't just going cold knocking on KD's door like, yo. This is nice weather out in the Bay, like no. But once you kind of get an understanding that he wants to, that he can see himself in a Warrior uniform. To your question, like I'd be an idiot not to follow kind of my nature in terms of understanding the value of and the value of the team, but also not being afraid to be around other talented people that can push you. Because some people might think that's threatening, and kind of raining on my parade, but a lot of it was that I knew that we could together, push each other to heights that I don't think either one of us imagined, and that's what we did. Every single day was, whether it was spoken about or not in practice, like I would watch what he was doing, he watched what I was doing, and there's just a healthy, just daily motivation when it comes to that. And I wasn't afraid of it, and I knew there would be some change. I personally, going into it, when you always have the strategy of like how you're going to deal with change and kind of trying to get ahead of it so that you're prepared. I thought that honestly that Draymond would have the biggest or the hardest time dealing with the amount of talent that we had on our team, because we knew me, Clay, and Katie were going to get a bunch of shots, and lo and behold, 3 months into the season, it was me that had the hardest time kind of figuring it out because of just the different roles that kind of formed and how the game was being played. That I had to kind of reset a little bit and understand like where everybody was in the court, my leadership style, and I'm being responsible for how everybody was playing. That. It was okay for everybody to bring our ego, our healthy egos, and being our best selves to the floor every night, and that it would work. And so I think I overcomplicated it at the beginning, and that was something I had to kind of work through, and eventually through a lot of different tough conversations and figuring it out. 2 championships and almost 3. The rest is history. So it was an amazing journey, amazing run. That that could be one of the greatest teams that it was ever assembled, and I'll remember that for a long time.
Yeah, it's surely my favorite team ever assembled. So thank you all for going out there and doing your thing. So to switch and talk about a different team, we also have your former Davidson teammate, your former Davidson roommate, and the GSB's very own Bryant Barr in the crowd. So you two launched SC38 Inc. And it contains your brand endorsements, it contains your venture investing arm, it contains Eat, Learn, Play, and it also contains unanimous media. Did I forget anything?
It's a pretty good slate right there.
It's a pretty good slate.
That's it. That's good. That's it.
That's amazing. So, what exactly is the mission of SC38 Inc?
It's to inspire. I mean, bringing everything that I'm about and what I believe in to inspire and enhance opportunities for the next generation. So I got to a point, you talked about, us being friends from 2005 to, meeting in 2005 to now, playing at Davidson together, following his professional career after he left Davidson to end up here at the GSB, and then after that becoming business partners. We try to stay patient and understand that we were on two totally different journeys that eventually kind of came together to make sense in terms of his perspective on the opportunities that I had off the court that I might not have taken advantage of otherwise. And so when you talk about those 4 verticals, we're able to do so much, have the opportunity to impact so many people, inspire through faith, through family, through obviously sports, and through the ability to kind of leverage what this game is and the doors that it's opened for me. So a lot of it's been a learning experience and a huge learning curve in terms of, for 7 years, I had an agent that kind of was amazing for that part of my career, but I got to a point where I could take more ownership over how I showed up in every single brand partnership, and the opportunity to reach into Silicon Valley and network and understand opportunities in the venture space. And me and my wife now with the opportunity, the Bay Area being our home for the last 11 years, it's where we raise our kids. There's a huge need and an opportunity to impact kids in Oakland, especially throughout the Bay Area, through those 3 pillars of eat, learn, and play. And then in the media space, storytelling and creating content that can impact the world now and for years to come. Trying to understand how I show up in all those different verticals in a very authentic way that I can own my voice through all of that, and I don't know just the impact now, but just in terms of thinking long term, how people see me on the basketball court, there's way more to it than that, and so it's been an exciting journey to be a part of that.
It's amazing. And so to a crowd that some people are considering starting a company with their best friend or not, do you have any advice?
Oh man, I mean, you just have to communicate first and foremost. I think that was the thing that was most advantageous for us. For 2 years, we had so many different conversations about what it could look like and what that partnership would look like, and how I think at the time, the first 2 months was tough because I felt like for 2 years all we had was business conversations, and we forgot the friendship part of it, which was made us who we are. And then we kind of had to kind of reset and say, we're doing amazing stuff, but we lost that personal, part of it. And that's a constant challenge, and you have to remind yourself with how crazy, how many decisions you have to make on a daily basis, all the things that you're trying to manage and balance, and communication is everything. And so I commend Bryant for having that perspective, because he's not afraid to challenge me on things where I'm slipping up, and I hope I do the same, vice versa. So that part of it is tough, but it's most rewarding when you get to do amazing things and enter amazing opportunities with somebody that has a very similar mindset that you have sweat equity with for years and years and years, and you know what they're about. There's a confidence that comes with that too. So you take the good with the decent with it.
Yeah, so thinking back on a few things we've touched on, it's obvious that you don't let the excellence of an organization define your own excellence. You went to Davidson underrated and left a household name. You went to a shaky Warriors team and turned them into a dynasty to remember. You are ruining the game by redefining excellence in everything you touch. So I want to let you know, black man to black man, I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate all the positivity and joy you bring into the world. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and we're going to open up to the audience for a few questions.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Steph. Thanks for coming. I'm Robert. I'm first year MBA. So you just mentioned you're building this, venture with your friend. So I'm just wondering, what's your, overall retirement plan, and who who do you envision yourself to becoming, 20, 30 years down the road? Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'm at the point where I got to start thinking about it a little bit. In terms of where I'm at in my career, I've always had a hard time kind of articulating the big picture and the strategy around what we're doing with SC38 Inc. and kind of what we talked about with those 4 verticals in the media space of our foundation, Eat, Learn, Play, which I truly believe will be a game changer in the Bay Area and especially Oakland, and changing kids' lives. And that's something me and my wife are extremely motivated and dedicated to. Our brand partnerships and our venture investing. So I think establishing our processes and the team that I'm trying to build now that will hopefully set up success for later, just having a perspective around what that might look like when the ball stops bouncing. Obviously, right now, I have to balance that perspective with continuing to be the best basketball player that I can be, and keeping the main thing for me, because that's what keeps the car moving. But I have had the opportunity in this last year to really, again, just adapt to the learnings of what we have taken on, and be okay with saying we didn't get that right the first time. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's get the right team in place and the right process. And I'm only as good as the people around me, and so that's that's the best thing that we've been able to try to figure out. And I'm really excited about where we're at right now, which continues to, or allows me to have the excitement about, reinvesting my time and the resources behind everything that we're doing. So that's my best answer to that, because in the next 3 or 4 years, I want to win like 3 more championships and then play for like 10 more years. And then, I keep adding a year for my wife because I just like to mess with her like that. But but that's the perspective right now. Continue to be the best basketball player I can be for as long as I can be. But in the meantime, form the best team around me that will help set us up for success in the future in terms of, being truly game changers in those 4 spaces.
Hi, Steph. My name is Mary Grace Reeves. I'm a 4th year in the dual MD MBA program here at Stanford. And as a golfer, I really appreciate your show, Holy Moly. And you're always
Season 2 is coming soon. So
looking forward to it very much. You're always welcome to join us here at the Stanford Golf Course.
Thank you for that invite.
So my question for you is, now being on the West Coast, what do you continue to take from your Southern heritage, and how does that translate into your leadership style off the court with impact investing and with unanimous media?
That's a great question. I'll get my joke out the way. Like, coming from the East Coast, my mama here, if I wasn't a yes ma'am, no ma'am, that type of thing, just the graciousness and my manners, she would hit me upside my head. So it always catches people off guard out here on the West Coast. But beyond that, I think just a sense of appreciation for the place that I get to live in. I really like the speed of life here, the opportunities, the thought leaders and game changers that are right in this area that I have access to, and not being from here and kind of understanding what that's like in this last 10 years has been extremely rewarding. I don't take that for granted, and knowing that the people that I get to call up and just have a conversation with, or eventually hopefully go into business with, or just even get advice from, like that's amazing to me. Just the power of intellect out here, all you guys included. So that's pretty special to me in this area, and something that gets me excited. Other than that, that's about it. So I think in terms of, like, again, the family aspect of what I bring, and that kind of permeating itself through, you talked about unanimous and the content that we create. We want to create content that the whole family can kind of get behind, and you want to make them laugh, make them cry, make them smile, all the different emotions. We bring that bond together through it. That's important too.
Yeah, I think the last student that asked you a golfing question ended up getting the Howard golf team sponsor.
That's right. Hell yeah, that's right. So I did a screener for a documentary called Emmanuel. It was last spring, and part of that was there's a guy that came up to the front afterwards, and he mentioned that he was on the Howard Golf Club team. And he was trying to figure out a way to start or bring Division I golf back to Howard University, obviously being HBCU. And so we had a conversation, found out a way to bring resources, bring some financial kind of backing, and align all the forces to make that a reality. And 5-6 months later, it happened. So it's crazy, just the rooms that you're in, and how those type of ideas can kind of come, and then being able to execute it and make it into a reality is pretty dope. So sponsoring the Howard, the return of Howard's Division I golf team next fall is pretty cool.
It's amazing. I think we have time for one more question from the crowd, and then we'll come back here. Awesome.
In the way back.
Hi, Steph. Thank you for being here. I was curious what the thought process and conversation was around you and your team's decision to not go to the White House. It personally meant a lot to me to see such prominent figures in the public discourse make a stand like that, and I'm curious what that process was like for you guys.
I was kind of talking about that earlier in the breakout group there. It's amazing the conversations that I've been thrown into, and I say that in a positive way in terms of how powerful your voice can be, and speaking for those that can't speak for themselves, and developing a point of view that you're okay to stand behind, no matter if you're going to be praised for it or be criticized for it. And that was probably the prime example of that happening in terms of how basketball and the power of sports and how it unifies people, I think better than any other industry in this world, can lead to kind of standing against the way that the presidential office was being represented, and to be honest, still is. So I think it was a powerful moment for our whole team to kind of collectively come together, have that conversation amongst ourselves of who was comfortable going, who was not. I obviously was on the side of not going. Being put into a tweet by President Trump and dealing with that backlash of just that act that at the end of the day, I just didn't agree with anything that he was saying or what he stood for or how he, talked about, inclusivity and just the hatefulness that was coming out of that office. And so from there, I said, I'm not going to the White House, and our team kind of came to that collective decision. We didn't go. Instead, we went to the National African American History Museum in D.C. and created our own experience that was more true and authentic to what we wanted to kind of understand and learn about and share with the world. And some students from where Katie's from in Maryland came out, and we got to go tour the museum with them, and it was an amazing experience that was way better than the alternative. So just to your point, like, athletes have an amazing opportunity to speak, and people want to listen. I just try to be, one, educated on what I'm talking about, and two, again, okay with knowing that I'm not going to please everybody with what you say, but you got to stand for it. Awesome.
Yeah, so we had a breakout room for you. We also had a breakout room for Ayesha, who is accomplished on her own. We have New York Times best-selling book, The Seasoned Life. We have her own cooking show, Ayesha's Homemade, and a cameo on Hannah Montana.
That's good. That's good.
So we normally end these. I had to do my research, man. So we normally end these with a lightning round, and I have one for you. And so what I'm going to do is give you a series of options. There's going to be 2 options in each one, and you tell me which one you pick. You can't think about it too long.
All right.
So I'm passing you the ball. Just shoot the 3.
Sounds good.
All right. So favorite acting moment: Denzel Washington in Training Day, or Viola Davis in How to Get Away with Murder?
Oh, Training Day.
Okay. Favorite snack: Ayesha's chicken parmesan or Sour Patch Kids?
Chicken parm is not a snack.
That's fair. Favorite food?
That's an unfair question, yeah. two totally different categories. I mean,
You can take sour.
I'm married up, and I'm going to make sure, happy wife, happy life, so.
I brought you a little gift.
See, that's my reward for answering the question right.
That was a good one. So your favorite nickname: Babyface Assassin or Splash Bro?
Babyface Assassin, even though I'm trying to run away from it, obviously.
All right, so your favorite basketball role model: Steve Nash or Reggie Miller?
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash.
Which is crazy because he's now one of our consultants for the team, so I get to ask my idol questions about how to run a pick and roll, and he gets to answer them like right there and show me the way. So
that's
pretty crazy.
That is pretty wild. And actually, I think I read that he was saying he wished he could play in the game after you changed it?
Unbelievable compliment, but I would also counter with, I play the way that I play because of what he showed me. So he's kind of dumbing it down a little bit, what he was able to do in terms of reinventing creativity in a way that inspired me to kind of own that for myself. So I appreciate his compliment, but yeah, I learned it from him.
That Phoenix Sun squad he was on was amazing.
Crazy.
Last question. This is a pretty tough one. There's actually 3 options for this one. Favorite child? Riley, Ryan. I'm kidding. We'll end on that one.
That's good.